That it's not the local jurisdiction's responsibility when it comes down to RF emissions. It's the federal government through the FCC. We have asked for, if you look at stipulation number 4, submit a report demonstrating compliance with federal standards for radio frequency emissions annually. I don't know many communities that are asking for this annual report. We are asking for that annual report for compliance with those FCC standards and demonstrating that compliance. That's as far as we can go because it is governed by the federal government.
The thing that concerns me is that I've done some research, and the research that I found is very disturbing, to say the least. And I'm not sure that our citizens realize some of the dangers of this EMF, radiation, electromagnetic radiation from these cell towers.
The Telecommunication Act prevents us from making a decision based upon a federal issue. It has to be based upon location and based upon aesthetics. And that's what we're focused on here.
As the specifics of the radio frequency emissions and such, there was I believe a public hearing we had where NewPath had an expert that addressed that in quite a bit of detail. And I mean, from what I recall from the presentation, demonstrated that at least as to radio emissions, they were way below any standard of the federal government set as the international treaties and conventions have set as far as being dangerous.
Basically, the Boulders is waiving all their immunity and whatever the legal terms are to address NewPath if something 5 years down the road comes up and people around these towers are all coming down with brain cancer or some type of cancer.
To the council, Stephen Garcia, here on behalf of NewPath Networks. I'd like to go just basically into our safety basics that is included, I believe, in your packet, if I'm not mistaken. First of all, the FCC established RF standards for wireless transmission facilities. There should also be, if I'm not mistaken, an RF safety basics outline itemized here to make it easier for you to review. And again, I'd like to read this into the public record. It demonstrates that the NewPath Networks, as well as our tenants like AT&T, always comply with the federal safety standards. The FCC established RF safety standards for wireless transmission facilities based on a 3-year rulemaking process, which included the evaluation of the 2 most widely recognized standards of ANSI, American National Standards Institute, and the National Council on Radiation Protection, as well as the input of public, academia, scientists, the telecommunications industry, and the federal health and safety agencies. The maximum standards adopted was recommended by both the EPA and FDA. The FCC standard is 50 times below a level of the majority of scientific community believes may pose a potential health risk. Again, 50 times below the level that the majority of scientific community believes may pose a potential health risk. Number 3, NewPath's typical DAS low power nodes result in less than 1 to 3% of the FCC public safety standards, 100 to 34 times lower than the standard, which itself is 50 times lower than the possible health risk level. The number of common household devices have substantially higher RF exposure than DAS nodes. No RF compliance study is required to be filed with the federal government for NewPath's antenna nodes because they are below the minimum power level conditions that would trigger such a study. And finally, the Federal Telecom Act imposes FCC standards for wireless facilities to preempt the establishment of any other standards by local jurisdictions.
To thank the P&Z, I know we have 2 of the members here tonight with us. You guys did a 3. You guys did a great job, and this is very thorough and very easy to understand.
Dimension 6125 East Little Oak Place. As far as asking them to say that if somebody comes down with a brain tumor years down the road, would they be willing to put some kind of a bond where they guarantee to pay for that? How exactly do you propose to prove that that brain tumor came from the DAS towers? People get brain tumors that aren't anywhere near DAS towers. So that would be a very sticky legal situation. You really could not prove that. Do you own a cell phone, Mr. Coady?
Excuse me?
Do you own a cell phone?
I don't think that's relevant.
Because if you do use and utilize a cell phone, you're putting that right up to your brain every time you talk on the cell phone. And I think you're probably not worried about getting a brain tumor.
I may already have one.